Yeah. Well, and same to you, like I think it's such a shame that we've let the stigma of like toilets and bathrooms become something where like it's just an untouchable topic when we do it every day. I mean, it's such an essential part of life. And the fact that we've made it this taboo thing, there's reason for it a bit, but I think we've almost gone too far.
Welcome back to Privy. Privy is a podcast about bathrooms, recorded from my home bathroom. I'm your host, Hunter Hoover, and I love bathrooms. And I'm joined, I'm in home bathroom, but I'm joined virtually via the power of the internet by Flush's one and only Kim Worsham. Did I get your last name correct, Kim?
Yep, that's pretty good.
Perfect. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
I'm all right. How are you doing? Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. I'm doing well. It's actually like my first real day. I'm a school teacher like by day. So today's like my actual real first day of summer. So we're running around with the kids and getting that library stuff set up. But
congratulations.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I'm just going to give you and also the listener kind of a brief, how did we get here? So, via social media, something that happens is the algorithm or the powers that be recommend me, just countless bathroom related pages and profiles and accounts. And I follow a handful of those, especially the ones that seem to have a lot to say and a lot to provide and a lot of cool information just to keep track of what's going on out there in the bathroom world. And Flush was one of the early bathroom related Instagram accounts that I had found. And it's super cool to see. I was just earlier today, I was on and I saw, it might've been from some time ago, but it was a video about the prisons in Alcatraz. And I was reading through that, super fascinating stuff. So that's kind of how we got to this point. And then just reached out and said, hey, I like to talk about bathrooms, and what y'all have going on at Flush seems very interested in them as well. I will say I did a little digging around, and I wanted to, on Flush's website, it cites you as being kind of like having this childhood passion for bathrooms. Can you share with us a little bit about what that was and what that looks like?
Sure, yeah. So I have numerous gastrointestinal disorders. So I've always been someone that's needed a bathroom, even since when I was a little girl. And, I was always looking for a bathroom. I was always not feeling safe if there was no bathroom. And it became a family joke when I was younger, because whenever we would go to a restaurant in like the 90s, I wouldn't let them sit down until I looked at the toilet first, because I knew I was going to end up there.
Right,
and so
right.
they kind of started joking around that I was like this toilet inspector, because I had like a personal code, because I wanted to make sure the toilet was good for me so that when I could go to the bathroom, it would be fine. And and I totally forgot about that. Like as I got older, like I was like, single digits child, 8, 7.
Yeah.
And then when I was trying to figure out my career stuff, I liked a lot of different things. And then I kind of rediscovered water and sanitation when I was doing work overseas. And I called my mom at the time and I was like, oh my God, I think I really want to work in toilets. And she's like, yeah, that makes sense. And I didn't know what she was talking about. She's like, don't you remember the inspections of all the toilets at the restaurants? I was like, I remember it now, but like I didn't put 2 and 2 together. Yeah. That's the thing.
It stood out more to them than it probably stuck with you. That's interesting. That's funny. It probably wasn't funny in the moment, but I know like less gastrointestinal, but just I think it's just anxiety of buildings and crowds. Like tracking down where the bathroom's at is definitely a component.
It is.
What took you overseas for the work that you were doing?
I was pretty young in my career and I wanted to work overseas, and I always wanted to work internationally. And I ended up on a project in one of my grad programs where I went to India and I needed a bathroom, and it was a water related program, and I was doing some water work and needed a bathroom in the middle of nowhere in the rural areas. And couldn't find one or find one that I was allowed to use. And I was like, you know what? I can't be the only person that needs a bathroom all the time. And it
Right.
kind of opened light for me where I was like, oh my God, some people in the world don't have this. And found out just how many people, I mean, millions of people don't have
Right.
access to toilets, even billions sometimes we could say. So
Right.
for me, that was like the big light turned on. And I started my career thinking I was going to be in entertainment and did that for like a minute and got out and hated it. And then I went into toilets and my parents were just like, what? You went to business school, you went and did this international stuff, and now you want to work on toilets? And I was like, yeah, it's amazing.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah. I've only ever, I've been fortunate enough to not travel anywhere that I couldn't find one eventually. But I mean, I think the closest thing was we did some like building project stuff in Mexico a few years back. And there was moments where it was like, it is a hole, there's a seat, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is wild. And in some of, I know there was a couple places in Israel where you didn't flush the paper, which was another big like cultural separation because it just feels so wrong to not. But yeah, it is a good reminder. It's something that like, I think we definitely take for granted. That's actually what sort of started this show. It was actually around Thanksgiving and I was going through and I'm like, man, this is pretty great that we have this access. And so there's a lot of definite thankfulness in the back burners, of the show. You said you studied business. So how is that kind of what led to Flush as is it an organization? I want to make sure I talk about it the right way.
Yeah,
Company.
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. That's kind of how I've tried to marry my, business degree and my international work together. I got a degree at a fantastic business school in the US and really didn't know what to do with it at the time and, went off to do international development stuff. And one of the things I kept seeing when I was in international development was just how much they struggled with things that we learned in business school and were pretty easy to me, where I was like, wow, why are we having such a hard time with this?
Right.
Particularly around communications. So I have a marketing degree and, I see a lot in water and sanitation. It's a hidden topic partly just because we have a lot of enthusiastic engineers who don't know how to talk about it and think that when they talk about it, it must make sense to everyone and then get confused when people don't adopt the thing that they're trying to put in. And every time I was just like, yeah, you didn't do the marketing. And everyone's going, oh, marketing's bad. And I'm like, it's not. It's just a way. It's like, I don't think of myself as like a corporate, hound or anything. I think there's just a lot of misconceptions about business principles in the international development and nonprofit world, to be honest. So I wanted to start a company to really provide those services and be like, I know what you're doing. I align with your values, but I have this skill set and this skill set's kind of important. And I promise it'll help you. And, so I started my company in 2018 and slowly built it up and it's doing pretty well. And, we're doing marketing support for some organizations and some other organizations we're doing more like technical assistance on like, evaluating how their programs are doing. So like, it kind of depends on the client, what we actually do. But yeah, like the main reason I started it was just because I was like, wow, you guys really don't understand how to like run stuff. And especially in international development, it became really popular to talk about business principles. But when they were talking about it, it was all very theoretical. And then when they would apply it, I was like, that's not how that works. That's not. And I actually remember like I had a full blown argument with someone about marketing, about what it was. And I was like, I have a degree in it. I think I know what it is. Like, I think I passed, like I got some good grades in it. And they kept trying to be like, that's not what it is. And I was like, I don't know why you're trying to tell the person with a marketing degree what marketing is. But what you're telling me is not right. Because they thought, marketing was just flyers and radio station, jingles. And I was like, that's not it. Like marketing is like, a whole lot of data and, asking people questions, trying to understand how they use stuff, saying, hey, this product isn't going to work or this service isn't going to work because of this reason people don't like it. And basically it's like the relationship manager of anything you're trying to put together. And, when people started saying like, oh, it's just communications, I'm like, it's really big. Like, I mean, I had to take a lot of statistics classes and I had to learn a lot about like how to engage with human beings. And so started Flush to say, hey, if you want this service, this is what we can do. And we use our blog and we use our website and our social media as like proof of concept of, hey, people engage with us. People think our stuff is really interesting and they reach out to us and we don't even know them. Like Privycast, and
here we are.
Yeah. And it gets found and people like it. And, and people are seeing that and they're resonating with it. Oh, wow. Like you do get people interested in your work and you don't have a big budget. I'm like, no, you don't have to have a big budget, but you have to be smart about how you talk to people. So that's how Flush started.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Do you, I do have a question related to Flush and it's more of a personal curiosity.
Sure.
Have you in this marketing world, especially with a name like Flush, I love it, but have you found people that are standoffish around the whole bathroom related concept, or are people pretty open to it? Because I know, like, just to share with this, there's folks that are like, wait, now, a whole thing about it? And I was like, yeah, bathrooms are everywhere.
Well, I think it's kind of how I approach with different people. So, like, I'm not going to go balls to the wall talk about, poo and bathrooms with someone who's like in private investment, right? Like I'm going to start and kind of bring them in with like, hey, I work in like a climate or environmental related thing and we focus on sanitation and this is why. So we try to kind of get them.
That marketing piece.
They try to get them interested. I mean, I think the challenge sometimes with my company name is they think I might be like a casino. Because like the card games like a Royal Flush. So I get that sometimes, or sometimes people get the name wrong, where they're like it's Flush. I'm like that's the name of the URL, but that's not the name of the company. So I haven't had people get turned off by the name, but honestly, I find more people when I tell them that I'm a toilet expert. I did a joke about this, like, I don't know, 8 years ago. I feel like a confessor. Like I become this person where like everything that's deep, dark in their soul comes out about toilets. Where like, I've always wanted to talk about this or ask this question to somebody. And I get some really weird things people tell me because they're like, finally, somebody has this expertise and I can ask. Or, I had this experience and I need to share it. And I'm always just like, okay. And I'm happy to, receive that information. It's always sometimes, and I think my face is like, I've been told I have resty nice face. So, people just want to share information to me. And so like, I've gotten some questions where I'm kind of like, okay, like I'm not a sex ed professional. So I think that's actually a sexual education question, or I actually don't know that much about animals. And I feel like that might be someone else, like maybe a vet can answer that question. So I get some really weird questions related to toilets. So if anything, I feel like people latch on really fast. They're like, yes, really into it.
Well, good. Yeah, that's right at home here because when we started doing guested episodes, it began as people emailing me.
Oh, wow.
Like you said, these confessions essentially of bathroom confessions. And it's going, hey, do you want to talk to the internet about it and put it out there publicly for everybody to hear? And about 50-50 on the people that are willing to do so. So what's the strangest question you've ever been asked about? Like whether bathroom related or otherwise.
I mean, and I really don't remember who this person was. So I don't know if they'll ever listen to this, but they asked me about like the public health safety issues with like anilingus. And I was just like, you know what? That's really not my specialty. I don't suggest you do that. I think that there's some cleaning protocols. I don't know. I don't know how to answer your question. And and the way they kind of looked at me like, you can finally answer this for me. I was like, I really don't know. I can tell you that there's, bacteria down there that you will want to sanitize and you might get, food poisoning from it. But like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, this is really out of my wheelhouse. So that was my weirdest question, I would say. But
Ooh.
sometimes the weirdest questions, like the weird questions I get, I actually make me kind of go like, that's a question that like is really interesting and makes me actually rethink how we articulate stuff about sanitation and toilets. Like I was doing a class in Connecticut a while back and someone was asking me like, why do my wives farts smell and not mine? And people were laughing at him because they're like, that's a weird question. I was like, no, actually, that's a really interesting question because it's like an evolutionary question. Like, why, evolutionarily speaking, like, why do yours not smell and hers do? And I came up with a general idea of an answer, but I was like, that's really interesting that you want to know that because it's like how you engage with that stuff. Yeah. Whereas like in my sector, if I ask my like colleagues that, they'll be like, why would we answer that? I'm like, because some people want to understand how it relates to them.
Right.
And so to me, sometimes it's, I think people in my sector would be like, that's a weird question. And I'm like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait, there's a point. And like,
let's hear them out.
Yeah. Like, let's try to unpack that. Like, what is that about? And like, why does it bother them? And also what can we say? So sometimes I think if someone was with me whenever I'm like engaging in public stuff, would just collect these questions. And often I'm just like, yeah. That was a cool question. How do I answer that? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't know why, but all I can imagine is that person, their wife sitting next to them, just, like, stop it, trying to shut it down. And it's like, but yeah, that's, it's, I think for me, when you open the door, whether it's through flush or other mediums to bathrooms, it's like you give permission to people to be like, well, this person's at least this much comfortable with the concept of bathrooms. So if I'm going to ask anybody, I'm going to shoot my shot with them. And I hats off to you for being that for people because they need it. Like you said,
I think it's such a shame that we've let the stigma of like toilets and bathrooms become something where like it's just an untouchable topic when we do it every day. I mean, it's such an essential part of life. And the fact that we've made it this taboo thing, there's reason for it a bit, but I think we've almost gone too far.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I travel to certain countries, it's a lot easier to talk about my work than it is here in the US. When people are like, hold on, like I've been asked if I'm doing a bit when I talk about my work, where they're like, are you doing a bit on me? And I'm like, why would I make this up? Like, this just feels like too good to be true. Like, I'm really good at cocktail parties. But if I go to like, work with my colleagues in Kenya or Ghana, to them, they're like, yeah, that's a legitimate problem we have.
Wow.
Yeah, like let's go fix it. Like, oh yeah, I see it. And here there's a lot more giggles. And, I'm originally from New York City where like people like weird stuff, but I live in San Francisco now. And there have been a couple times when I'm like trying to talk about my work and people are like, wait, what, really? What? What do you mean? Like you focus on toilets? I'm like, yeah, actually it's like kind of important.
Yeah.
And they're just like really kind of befuddled the whole time, just like thinking that I'm like half making fun of them, I guess. I don't know. But I'm always like, no, this is legitimate. I get paid to talk about toilets.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, that's wow. I imagine even, Kenya and I'm sure that's one of many places in the world where you just, I don't know, when you said that, my first response around bathrooms is to kind of, like you said, chuckle a little bit but for a lot of people, it's like, no, like this is a serious thing that if we can't get this hammered out, life is harder, or less safe in many, many instances. Yeah. It's a good reminder.
Yeah. I've got dysentery more than once because of my work. So
really?
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny. I was talking to one of my Ugandan colleagues and she was like, I don't know any Ugandan who's had dysentery. And I'm like, I've had it twice in 2 different countries. So I feel like my passion is even higher. And I've had like parasites and stuff because when I'm working in certain places, I'm going to these places because they don't
Right.
have good access, which
Wow.
means, you know,
Yep.
Whitey McWhite over here is going to end up getting dysentery. And it's
Oh,
funny to me because I'm always just
yeah.
like going to the doctor being like, I have dysentery. No, you don't. I'm like, do the tests. Like, I promise you I do. And then they're like, you do. I'm like, I know I have dysentery. But it's made me more passionate because I'm like, yeah, like, look, I am proof of concept, proof of the need, because I
Wow.
go to certain places and I get sick, and, or people, joke about going to certain countries and getting sick. And it's like, well, if they had toilets, we wouldn't have this
Yeah.
problem. So here we
Yeah.
are.
And it's a solvable problem. Like
Yeah.
it's time and resources and people to care.
It's a gnarly problem too, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
complicated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I again, that's that stuff you take for granted. Like, I think, like even when they just build houses and stuff over here, that they have the infrastructure in place. And I've found there's a couple of articles that I've seen on Flush that was laying out that infrastructure piece. It was talking a little bit about like how stuff integrates with a bigger sewage picture. And I find that stuff super helpful, mostly because like I said, I work at a high school. These kids have no idea how internet gets to their phone. They think it's magic.
Yeah.
And the same is true for like when they hit the flush. I mean, not my problem now. And I've shown a handful of them stuff and trying to get them, especially there's handfuls that are like into trades and looking to go towards trades. And I'm like, hey, you might want to take a look at this. Like, this will give you a bigger picture feel for what you're going to go into.
Plumbers make some good money too, and we're running out. There are a bunch of them hiring, so we're having like a bit of a skills gap.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I think it's necessary. Like you said, we're in if we don't turn that corner, we'll have a different problem too. Another problem. I do want to know, mostly because, and just to totally bear my ignorance, my like interaction with the idea of dysentery is like playing the Oregon Trail back in the day. What are the symptoms? Or unless it's like super overbearing, like what are the symptoms?
How graphic do you want me to get? I mean, I mean, it's bloody mucus stool, and it's pretty constant diarrhea, like 6.
So you don't miss it
times. I mean, it looks like other things sometimes. So the first time I got it, they thought I had dengue fever. And so I was in the hospital and they came out with my stool sample and they're like, good news, it's not dengue, it's dysentery. And I was like, I don't know if that's better, but I mean, it was in some sense. So you get like a really high fever. I tend to get really bad backaches when I get it, and really like lethargic, stomach aches and cramping. And then you get, bloody stool. So it's not even stool, it's bloody diarrhea. So you do that. And
what is treatment? I mean, modern day, what do they do for that?
So the dysentery I've had is from amoebas, and so I get an antiprotozoal. So it's like an antiparasitic, but it I have to eat like really bland foods and just like be near a toilet for a week essentially. And the last time I wasn't near a toilet at one point, and I was in a very dark place for a minute. But yeah, I mean, you have to get rid of the amoebas and eat just like rice, and that's kind of it.
Kind of flush the system.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. I mean, what a story. I will say this: you are the first person I've ever met
who's had
in
dysentery?
person or otherwise that's had dysentery. I've met one person who had scurvy, of all things.
Okay.
But, yep, you're the first dysentery.
It's occupational hazard. There are some places there are some countries where I've worked where it's almost like a a badge of like
Yeah.
proof, like I work in this sector, I've had dysentery. So I was living in Cambodia and everyone got dysentery. And like there was
Really?
just a wave of dysentery that went through. So we all got dysentery. And my roommate at the time had dysentery before me. So she was like, yeah, here's the stuff that I took. Like good luck with it. So
Man.
yeah, it's kind of one of those things that just happens in some places.
Yeah, that is a sad and unfortunate truth. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that would be an emotionally challenging thing as well. At least for me, I don't know if I'd be like, oh, this might be it. But
You do feel like dying, but like once the medicine kicks in, you
yeah,
start feeling better. So like if they give you
yeah.
good medicine, and in some countries where they don't have the FDA, they give you really good medicines
Oh
and you
yeah,
feel really good afterwards. So,
yeah.
there's a couple things like when I'm traveling for work, there are certain meds I'll go to the pharmacist and I'll be like, give me a pack of that because I'm bringing it home for when I have my
Oh
next food poisoning instance, because it's just really
yeah.
high, like it's really good. And yeah, so it's not like you want to die forever. It's like you want to die for like a day or two. It's like having a terrible flu,
Yeah.
and then you get over it and you
Man.
survive it. And then,
Yeah.
the only challenge for me is because I've had so many parasites and like dysentery in a short period of time, I actually can't
Mm-hmm.
eat meat anymore. So I'm a
Wow.
pescatarian because my body doesn't digest meat anymore. So
Wow.
that's the bummer. But I mean, I
Yeah.
miss bacon sometimes, but it's fine.
Yeah. Wow. That is that's crazy. And hats off to you for both going through that and also going out there and doing that work and yeah, that's an incredible thing.
Yeah.
Uh I have and I have a handful of questions that I ask everyone,
Sure.
and then at the end I want to make sure that we come back around and sandwich it with a short conversation related to flush.
Okay.
And so I'm just gonna kind of float these out there, and if you want to expand on them as much or as little as you want,
Okay.
um, and like I said, these are super related to what you're doing. These are like we're back in kindergarten level questions. So I'm not going to be asking you anything too terribly wild. The first is what is your preferred type of toilet paper, like brand, ply,
Mhm.
all of those things? What do you prefer?
I like bamboo,
Mm.
and I get Who Gives a Crap, like
Yes.
their bulk purchases. I get a bulk box of them, and they
Yeah.
last me pretty well. I like that they're durable and that they're nice and thick, but I also like the fact that it's not trees.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually, um, I did like rated a whole bunch of toilet paper, and I have like it's called honeycomb bamboo
Yeah.
toilet paper,
Okay.
but that's what we actually have right now. So
Nice.
that's yeah, very cool. And you said it's Who Gives a Crap the one that you like.
Yeah.
Okay, I might have to check it out because there's a handful of brands out there that have popped up, I think,
Mm-hmm.
in the not too distant past. But
Yeah.
uh and then when on your toilet paper, are you a fold it over or fold it under?
Over.
Over. Okay. Um, is that like, are you set on that or
Oh
are
yeah.
you
Oh yeah.
okay?
Because
Well,
every
if
time I do
you
it under, it breaks whenever I try to pull it out.
okay,
So over is always easier for me.
got it. If you ever like, if you go to someone's house or if you go somewhere and it's under, will you flip it?
No, I just judge them.
Yeah. Perfect.
I'm just like, oh, you're an under. Okay. I see how it
Oh, well, that's funny. My wife is in the same camp as you. She is like, nope, it must go over. And if you put it on the other way, I'm flipping it around and then I'm letting you know that you did it wrong.
is. So in the toilet paper patent, it's supposed to be over. So
Yep.
I mean, we're
Yeah,
correct.
I so people bring this up to me all the time, and I'm convinced that it's not a conspiracy because I don't want to go into that, but I'm convinced that the guy did that on purpose because I think it actually uses more paper to go over, unless you're being mindful. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think if anybody's being mindful of their paper,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna solve that problem. But especially little kids when they just grab and rip,
Mm.
I think the over. I don't know. I'm working on a test for that, but I haven't been able to I have 2 kids, and isolating them on that test is
Yeah.
like, wait. How many did you use? Like half of it's gone. You got to chill out. And then there's no way to measure anyway.
You should like number every single piece of toilet paper and just see how many they go for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wonder if you could buy it. There has to be like pre-numbered paper.
There might be.
Oh man. Now I know what I know I'm looking up later. Do you prefer bar soap or liquid soaps?
Bar.
Okay.
I like the feeling of control I have with the bar. And I like the fact that like I just feel like I can rub it better. Like I don't like loofahs. Loofahs are kind of gross to me. And bar, like I have to use liquid soap sometimes when I'm traveling just because that's like what's available. And I always I like the exfoliating feature of the bar soap. So I just can't get behind the liquid. My partner likes liquid, but you know, I'm like he knows that I like bar. Like in my Christmas stocking, I always get like bars of soap because I like soap.
Do you have a preferred brand or like a?
No, well, if I'm gonna have to go for like a brand, it's gonna be Dove because I have sensitive skin. Yeah. But I tend to really like to go to markets where they have like goat's milk soap because I really like how it works.
That's good stuff.
It's good. And so the 2 best soaps I've ever used, one was donkey milk soap, which is like something that's really popular in France. And so I got some and I was like, hold on. Like I was getting this because it was funny. And now I'm like really into it because it was nice. And then charcoal soap, which is called black soap in Ghana. And that's really nice too. So anything that's like milk or like just basically anything that someone's like making in their house in like a sketchy way, I probably is my favorite way.
Oh man, it's the unsanctioned soap and topical dietary medications.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, that's the way to go.
Yeah, totally.
And then, so what related to that? Not exactly. How do you feel about baths? Like and to share where it's coming from, there's like 2 camps. There's the folks that are like grossed out by baths, and then there's the folks that like it's peak experience for them. Or where do you fall on that continuum?
So I grew up not having baths. So like we always did showers because my mom was told in the 80s that like they weren't safe for kids. So we didn't have baths really. Now I think it's weird that I would like I would become like Kim Soup. I don't like that idea. But I know I've tried to enjoy it in the past.
Right.
And I know some people do enjoy it. And I just think it's not my jam. So I really like the shower feeling. And like historically speaking, baths are really like where it was at for a long time because it was like a full spa experience, and like the shower only came in like 150 years ago or something.
But
like,
it's very recent.
But I just like I'm like, you know what, whoever decided to like put a bowl above their head and make it splash down on them was brilliant. Love it.
Yes. Okay, I'm on the same page. Do you have any bathroom pet peeves, like things that just drive you bonkers in the bathroom?
As in that I do or that other people do in my bathroom or in their bathroom?
Any of it. I mean, if you really want to dig down deep and find the things that you do that drive people nuts.
I mean, I think I have to think about this. It's like not trying to say what drives me nuts my partner does, basically, is what I'm trying to like. What else? What's like not a partner thing? I think of my bathroom as like my sanctuary. So like there's just certain things about cleanliness that I like about my bathroom that I'd like to keep. One of the things is I don't like it when people close the bathroom door after they showered.
Okay.
because
Just traps the.
it traps all the
Mhm.
goo and stuff, or like they
Yeah.
don't put the fan on or anything. Like I've lived with some roommates who were like, you have to close the door, and I was like, do you not understand? There's no window. There's no
Yeah.
way for us to get ventilation in here, and that's like a really big peeve of mine because
Yeah.
I don't like the smell of mildew, and I don't like the feeling of
Yeah.
everything being kind of just like always a little bit
Grimy.
soggy. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
really, that's
That
probably my
is.
biggest pet peeve.
Yeah. Hey, that is totally valid.
Yeah,
I don't think of that one. I don't, and I also don't think that. I mean, yeah, I don't think I've heard that one from people, and but it's a good one because, or even just the air, like when you go in,
yeah,
especially if it's not been long since the shower has been off,
yeah,
you just get hit with the wave of like
yeah.
hot, warm, wet air, and it's like, ooh,
And there might be something too, like one of my apartments in New York when I was living there I lived there for a long time.
hmm,
And one of my apartments, the bathroom ceiling fell on me, and it might be something to do with that because like
yeah.
they were like close the door because there's asbestos like in your bathroom now, and I was like, cool, this
Oh
is
my
great. We're
goodness,
gonna ventilate. So
that's
yeah.
whew, that's wild.
Yeah,
That's
they didn't get rent that month. I was
hey,
like,
that's fair.
yeah, I'm still
Um,
safe.
Man, wow. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I have a series of what I've been told are like weird shower questions.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna dive right into them. And if
Yeah.
you're like, you know what, hard pass. But the first is, or have you ever taken a dark shower? Just lights off, full shower experience with the lights off.
Voluntarily, no.
Okay.
Sometimes the power goes off when I'm overseas.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes.
Okay. So I had a buddy in college that he did this, and it was one of those things where it spread like wildfire, and now it's like my preferred path forward.
Oh.
I liken it to the like sensory deprivation chambers where like,
Oh.
especially if you're a morning shower person, it's like, this is the best way to ease myself into this day.
Mm,
So yeah, just the weird things that people do.
yeah. My
And then
shower experience is more strategic. Like it is it's a 6-minute shower, and I
yeah,
am like I it's clockable. Like people, it's 6 minutes, and
yeah,
I'm like taking the extra hair off of my head and stuff that's like falling out and whatever because I'm a female and I have a lot of hair.
yep,
And like it's a very like, and now is the time that we're doing the face, and like there's just like the order. It's my ritual. It's like my order of
yeah,
operations, and if I don't have light, I think that would hinder some of the
yeah.
things that I have to do in the shower.
Absolutely. And I think you have actually inadvertently answered a handful of these questions. However, I'm gonna soldier forth. Do you do any like snacks either in the shower or you're like, nope. Drinks? Shower drink? No, really? Okay.
Why do I need to blend things I enjoy?
Well,
This is a pure experience for me. It's a shower.
yeah, it's there's a variety of things that are great in the shower. There's a variety. I've heard a lot of things that are a bridge too far. I had a guy that was like, yeah, a bag of chips. I said, no. That's madness. Yeah.
There's no food. It is a
Okay.
non-food place. Like the bathroom is not a food place for me. It's where things
Okay.
are evacuated, not for things to come in.
So no toilet snack either. Because
No.
the
So
toilet
maybe
snack
this is
is,
because I have like GI disorders. So maybe there's
yeah.
like my bathroom experience is always a bit precarious because it's how much pain am I going to be in while I'm in the
Okay.
bathroom. So
Yeah.
to me, like it's
Yeah.
a safe zone. Like the sterility of it needs to be there partly so that I feel
Yeah. That's
protected.
fair.
And like, like I have a thing where like it's an IBS thing where like
Yeah.
sometimes I don't know if I'm going to pass out, puke, or shit myself.
Yep.
And when I'm on the bathroom, it's like I don't know which one it is. So I need everything to be like as food free as possible because it's like I don't know what's going to happen.
you don't want to add another calculation to that situation. That's totally fair.
No.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I would recommend a shower drink if you ever are like, you know what, I think I'm gonna.
I feel like it's raining down on me. I can just open my mouth up and have some water from the shower.
I know a guy that said he makes ramen like with the hot water, and I've had some deviants on the show. That's what I'm learning. Yeah.
I'm wondering how many of them have like, some form of like bacterial growth in their stomach and they have no idea.
Oh, I'm confident, both based on like our conversation right this moment, and my coworkers' responses to just the things that I've said I've eaten. And I mean, I'm confident I've got something going on, but like, you don't know what you don't know.
It can be a prophylactic. So I've taken deworming pills as prophylaxis, so you can go enjoy those.
Oh my gosh, that's wild. So no orange in the shower as if it's an apple. This is it's like a juice Okay, perfect.
Nope.
And then kind of the last shower question, and we ask everybody on the show this question. The first is, do you know what a waffle stomp is?
I don't know if I want to know, but yeah, I don't know.
So in short, it's when a person poops into the bottom of the shower, and then to just get it, they stomp it down. I know you're like running flush.
Fine. Public health wise, not fine.
Yeah.
Also, I have IBS, so I can't guarantee it's solid enough to do a stomp.
So the times that I've heard and know of people having done this, it's actually because of moments like that, whether it's because it's something they ate or known IBS, where it's like, I'm not going to make it out, so we're just going and letting fly. And so I'm going to venture to say that I would
get out of the bathroom if I have that urgent need, because to me, for a lot of reasons, one of them is my sphincter doesn't work that way. Our new little dog Izzy thinks that she has to police him, so they just yell at him.
Oh,
it's
a
great thing. No, so I don't think I want to ever do a waffle stomp. Especially just because my sphincter doesn't work that way, and also it's I like the idea of the division of places in my house for activities. So it's
yes.
I don't nap on my bed because then my body thinks it's sleeping for sleep, not napping. So I'll nap on the couch, right? Unless I'm sick and I know it's going to be a 3-hour nap, then I will sleep on my bed. But otherwise, this is a fine place to nap. And it's same, the kitchen is where the food is, and it's where it stays.
And it doesn't go in the bathroom.
It doesn't go there. It doesn't actually, we don't eat in the living room much either. It's in the kitchen. And the bathroom is where Kim takes care of her IBS, and it's also the place where she cleans herself to feel better after a bad bout of it. And the separation and the, this is the place where I eliminate. This is the place where I feel better. And I don't want to have those sensations cross, because I feel psychologically I'll start associating.
Oh,
and I don't want that.
Well, and yeah, I will say you're onto something psychologically. Because once a person, what I found is if somebody's done it once, most of the times when I ask, they've done it twice. It's they've given themselves permission. And yes.
They say the same thing about murderers, so I'm just putting that out there.
You could probably graph.
First time.
There's a research project, how many known confirmed murderers have a correlation stomp to waffle stomping or other deviant bathroom activity. At which point they're just going to start tracking people that I've talked to at some point on this show in the past.
And I will be clear, because they were she doesn't waffle stomp, so it's fine.
I will say less people have done it than have not. So you are actually in the majority. I don't know if that helps you navigate the world, knowing that most people I've talked to are no, this is crazy.
I've heard weirder things in the shower, and I've heard weird experiences that people do. So I feel better knowing that I'm not the only one who has like a limit, but I'm sad for the people who have let that happen. Who've accepted that as like, it's like, you know, it's like how many days do you go before a shower kind of question. It's like after like the third day, like to what end?
Yeah, I had a buddy tell me one time, oh gosh, that he said after day 5 you have regulated, like your I don't know, body ecosystem, whatever, has hit stasis, and he says you're going to smell exactly how you're going to smell. I don't know if that's true. He was not the cleanest guy, but you know,
who doesn't enjoy the feeling of just being fresh?
Oh, this is one of those things where, again, and to even go back to that thankfulness conversation, I am thankful daily for shower, especially like hot shower.
Yeah.
On demand hot shower. Yeah. It's baffling.
It's really nice.
That's a thing that, you know.
Yeah.
We were just having, my son and I were talking about this because, you know, he's 8 and he's like, well, and I'm like, bud, just wait. We're going camping soon. That idea that you can just, I'm going to roll right in and just clean up. You're going to want it even after a couple days here, buddy.
Yeah.
It's truly an interesting thing.
I have a story. So,
oh, please. Yes.
I had to go to Papua New Guinea last year for work, and I was in the middle of nowhere. So the project I was evaluating was in a remote island of Papua New Guinea, and there were no electricity. So they were having a fuel crisis. So no electricity, which meant no running water.
Right.
And so one day it was like, 2 days in, and I was like, girls got a shower. It's also, 87 degrees outside every day. So I was like, where am I what do I do? And my colleagues were with me. They're like, you're going to have to bathe in the river. And I was like, oh, I'm bathing in a river. Like the river that everyone's going to the bathroom in is the one I'm bathing in. They're like, yeah, don't worry. It's fast moving. I'm like,
so is cholera.
More worried. Yeah, I was like, that makes me more worried. So I had to bathe in the river. It was the first time. It was freezing cold. I had to wear, like a sarong and stuff. And it was very, like, I didn't fully clean because it's hard to clean yourself like that. And, but while I was in the river, and I was also in my head being like, I am way too old to be bathing in a river for work. Like, this is not something that I want to do it again. Like, middle-aged women who have never bathed before in a river probably shouldn't start. You know what I mean?
It's not peak experience.
No, but the thing is, it was a rapidly moving river, which means that the water just quickly entered my mouth at one point when I was like trying to do something with my hand face. And I was like 24 hours. I have 24 hours before I start feeling sick. Sure enough, 24 hours. I was like, I feel terrible. And the next day I had to fly home, which, I had to fly through Hong Kong. And at the Hong Kong airport, I get there. And because I'm someone who has a lot of GI disorders, I know how to mask really well. And so I get to the Hong Kong airport and I was like, hello, I would like to see your medical staff, please. And they were like, you don't look sick. And I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sick. Like, I'm pretty sure I need to see a doctor. And so they were like, it's going to cost you money. I'm like, I have medical insurance. So please, like, give me my doctor. So they come in and they're just looking at me. They're like, yeah, you seem fine. I was like, just take the temperature. And they like looked at it. They're like, oh, you're sick. And I was like, yeah. I had like 103-degree fever. And they're like, you look fine. I'm like, I'm really good at masking. I'm always sick. And they were actually debating if I was allowed on the plane because they're like, technically, you have a fever of a certain level that we shouldn't let you on the plane. But because you're masking and we know what you got sick from, we're going to give you the meds and don't tell anybody in the airline that you're sick. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be on this. So I was like in the airplane and I was like telling my neighbor guy that was sitting next to me, and I was like, hi, stranger, I just want to let you know I do have food poisoning and I am going to be very sick, but like, don't worry, it's not contagious. And he was just like, okay. I was like, don't tell anyone.
For the heads up. Yeah.
It's a 15-hour flight home, so please stay quiet. So
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, really
That's
big fan of showers.
yeah, that's fair. Um and with stories like that and others that you've shared, I get not mixing, the eating experience with the bathing shower. Like totally makes
It all
sense.
makes sense now.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
It's not my anal retentiveness.
Um do you have and I'll say in an American food establishment, because I think we could really go down some wild ventures being abroad and traveling.
Yeah.
But do you have an American food establishment that does you the worst as far as in the bathroom?
I mean, I could take the easy route because I am lactose intolerant.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
Dairy Queen, but
Oh, okay.
for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But I don't actually, because of my like GI stuff, I tend to cook at home. And
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think of if there's a restaurant that I go to. Honestly, I don't think there's an establishment, but like clam chowder and ice cream at Dairy Queen. Like I can eat ice cream, but if it's like a hot chocolate will always make me sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Ice cream's tough because I feel like if everybody's honest, it messes them up even just a little.
Yeah.
But it's tough to stay away from.
Well, and so my partner and I are snobs because he makes ice cream from scratch.
Whoa.
It's
okay.
phenomenal. And he's always like, it's good. I'm like, you've ruined me. So I go to like, ice cream parlors in other parts of the world and I'm like, no, like it doesn't chalk up. But like, so we go to like bougie, like homemade, slow made ice cream parlors now. So like it's pretty good. But yeah, there's like I used to go to Dairy Queen with my family when I was little, and like every time I'd go sick.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's it's they're really doing the hard work. Dairy Queen is.
The Lord's work even.
Yeah. That is really all of the questions that I have. Before I finish up with a couple questions about Flush, do you have any bathroom wisdom that you want to share with listeners? Just advice or stories of survival, anything that you want to share?
I've got lots of stories of survival. It's always nice to have a squatty potty because it will always help you if you're having a hard time letting go.
Yeah.
It helps your sphincter. And one of the things that I also found is deep stomach breathing if you're having a hard time going, like put the phone away. I actually read poetry if I'm having a hard go. It sounds silly, but it really does help. It's like, oh, and like deep stomach breathing, like deep in the belly, it kind of relaxes stuff and things go faster.
Yeah.
So there's that. Other advice that I can give. Don't flush other things down the toilet.
Yes. I was a janitor for 10 years, and I have pulled countless things out of an S-bend. Yeah. And yeah, that's just good advice all around right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always surprised when people are like, why is my toilet not working? I'm like, because you put pickles down the toilet. Real story. It happened. Roommate story from a long time ago. And it still upsets me.
Yeah, I will confess my wrongdoing. When I was a kid, I was probably 4th, 5th grade. My mom gave me this like just pot of soup that was, I don't know, it sat too long or something. She said, I need you to dump it out. And she meant go out into the Montana cold and dump it in, the ditch or whatever. And I was like, actually, and just in the toilet is what I did. I now know that that's not a thing that I should have done, but
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good advice. So I wanted to kind of move to close, ask about what are some current, whether it's big projects or big focuses that y'all have for Flush right now.
Oh boy. We've got a lot of projects right now. So we're growing oddly. So everyone else in my sector is not, but we are. And one of the things that I'm excited about is transitioning my company so that it's a cooperative model. So like I'm really big on like white girls in the US should not be like doing jobs only in Kenya because they're not Kenyan. They don't know the market. So I have like a really fantastic East African group of colleagues, and I'm trying to get them to start thinking about like registering flush overseas. So one of the things that I'm starting to do is, how do I decentralize the company? So it's not just my company. I love my company. I will run the US stuff. I love doing stuff overseas, but am I needed? Like, do I actually have to go? First of all, I'm tired and I don't want to fly 15 hours. Second of all, it doesn't make sense all the time for me to do projects in certain countries because I don't know it well enough and I don't know the local language. So I'm trying to work with my colleagues on like learning how, like what certain parts of running a business make sense. Like I can do the admin pieces, but like, how do you get work? How do you talk about yourself? And training them on that, and also training them on like, do we want to start registering the company in other countries? So that's a big thing that I'm excited about. And we're also, we're trying to have conversations. So I don't know if you know, like all of the USAID stuff that happened, like USAID closed down. Most of my colleagues lost their jobs. So a lot of them I'm taking on as associates. But we're starting to have this conversation of, like Americans are upset about this, but the African colleagues I know are like, this actually might be a good thing because we want to be able to be more sustainable and we want to be able to like make our own decisions. So we started to like build out conversations of like, what does international development look like where maybe it is more like, Kenyans for Kenyans. And, the US isn't doing that great either with sanitation. So it's like, hey guys, like maybe we focus on the developing country that is the US, where we have a lot of people in the US don't have access to toilets and we don't talk about it. Or, all of that, like there are counties in Alabama and Appalachia that don't have good access to good plumbing. So we have issues too. We just don't think about it much in the US, or we don't communicate it that way. So how do we start thinking of international development as more just like development?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that. So project wise with my clients, we've got some cool client projects, not going to lie, but I don't know if my clients want me to talk about it on a podcast. So
absolutely.
To that, but yeah, like building out my company, growing it, and also like empowering my colleagues and my associates to start taking on projects without me, and letting me run the numbers if they want, but like they can run with the brand, because at the end of the day, I don't think this is going to be my forever thing. I love toilets, but like I'd love to also walk dogs and do that for a while. And my ultimate goal that I want to do, but I haven't figured out how to balance it with my work, is I do want to write a history of toilets book, because I have 6,000 years of history in my head. And like people, I go to like events, they're like, oh, tell me an interesting history fact. I'm like, oh, geez, can you narrow it down? Because I have too many history facts in my brain. So I want to build a history book where, the center of the history isn't Rome. It isn't England, which is historically what a lot of people focus on. Like, it's a history of the world where like, hey, did you know that Africans were using toilets when Europeans were going in the bush? Like, let's have a conversation about that. Let's have a, first plumbing toilet, like the first flushing toilet for women was in Korea. Like, let's have interesting conversations about all of this other interesting stuff that's happening in the world that people don't focus on, because it's a lot cooler when you start bringing in those other pieces and seeing how like it's a world history, it's a cultural phenomenon. So that's my like ultimate goal, is to write this history book.
That's super cool. And a lot of we do like history deep dives too, and so I don't know how far out that would be, but I will definitely be both through just like following Flush and keeping eyes for that, because that's gonna be a definite read. I have like Sir John Harrington. He wrote, like, when he invented the first like modern flush toilet or whatever, he wrote this like long form treatise about
the Ajax.
Yeah. I bought the book. I found it. I used to have it in here somewhere for light reading, but it would, medieval writing is light reading to you. That says a lot. Well, you were saying you take input. No, it's not. But you reading poetry. sometimes the distraction of like, oh yeah, I don't really know what he's saying is enough to, yep. Yeah, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's super cool. And before you go, would you tell folks where they can check out Flush and your own stuff if you want? Go ahead and share that with whoever's out there.
Yeah, you can see Flush things at itsflush.com. We're on Blue Sky, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And we're starting to dabble in YouTube very, very, very smallly. So feel free to look in. We have blogs that come out pretty regularly. I would say a couple times a month. Always interesting, wacky things that you might want to learn about. And we always take requests. So if anyone has requests, we're happy to write blogs about those as well. And yeah, my personal stuff is Flush right now. So that's where you'll find me. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kim, thank you so much for joining us here on the pod. I always tell people whenever I close out the show, I always feel like the dog that's in the backyard, like going to the bathroom, and then somebody like catches what they're doing and they're still doing it, but people are watching. And so I'm going to close out the show. Yeah, but listener, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to save all of the plugs and just to say, go follow Flush, check out itsflush.com, and check out what they're doing in those blogs as well as their social media and things going on out there. It's how I found them, and it's pretty interesting. So go check that out. As always, we want to thank Kevin MacLeod and Poddington Bear for the use of their music. You can find it in the description down below, wherever free use and that specialty music is found. Thank you so much for being here. Keep pooping in the free world. And now, as always, don't forget to flush.